Detroit, 1969. Experts decreed that the Lions might improve if they could avoid the disastrous injuries of 1968. But injury after injury struck again. In 1969, the Detroit Lions were handed an overdose of the frustrating setbacks that are part of professional football. The 1969 version of the Lions ignored both the fates and the dismal decrees of the critics and nearly won a divisional title. In the season's opener at Pittsburgh, the wound-up Lions literally dropped the game to the Steelers and lost by 3 points. But they recovered and set a pattern for the rest of the season.
It took the Detroit Lions 55 minutes to score a touchdown against the underdog Pittsburgh Steelers. This, coupled with 2 field goals, gave the Lions a 4-point lead. With only 4 minutes to play, the Steelers struck back, moving primarily on the running and receiving of number 87, flanker Roy Jefferson. Rookie Warren Bankston shook off 3 defenders en route to the game-winning touchdown for the Steelers and an opening day victory for new coach Chuck Noll.
The Lion defense completely shut out a New York Giant team that had just beaten the Vikings. And then the offense struck back from every possible angle. First, running backs Nick Eddy, number 40, Mel Farr, number 24, outran the Giant defense. Then quarterback Bill Munson split open the Giants secondary with an air strike to Charlie Sanders. And Nick Eddy made a fantastic grab for his first official touchdown as a pro. Arrow Man kicked in 3 more points. Then Lem Barney burned 74 yards with his first punt return touchdown, and Detroit had a shutout.
The Detroit Lions were hungry to avenge their season opener loss, and their fierce pass rush left very little operating room for New York's scrambling Fran Tarkenton. In the second period, Detroit finally coordinated their promising offensive unit and began an unrelenting scoring barrage. Number 24, Mel Farr, skirted the Giant right side for 6. Number 40, Nick Eddy, another part of Detroit's improved ground game, followed crisp blocking into the Giant midsection all day. Now, with a healthy ground attack to take pressure off his receivers, quarterback Bill Munson hit number 88, tight end Charlie Sanders, on another touchdown drive. Nick Eddy was responsible for the second Detroit score with a spectacular leap behind Giant defender Willie Williams. With 2-year man Eddy healthy, Detroit now boasts a much more balanced attack than they've enjoyed in the past. Finally, number 20, All-Pro cornerback Lem Barney capped off the Lion rout and a great day of his own with a 74-yard punt return that finalized the shutout at 24-0.
But the pace slowed down again in Cleveland, and the Lions were put to another test. Quarterback Bill Nelson burned Lem Barney twice in 25 seconds with identical touchdowns to Gary Collins, and the Lions trailed far behind at the half. But now the Lions recovered in time to shut out the Browns in the second half and hold Leroy Kelly to a mere 16 yards. Behind the strong offensive line, Bill Munson coolly tossed a rocket to rookie John Wright, number 89. Then a Detroit dream came true. Mel Farr and Nick Eddy teamed up in the same backfield. The Lions rallied behind the backfield they had waited 2 years to see and earned one of their strongest victories. Most important, they displayed the courage they would need for the rest of the season, and especially in the next 3 games. Against
The beginning of the second period saw a brutal display of devastation on the part of the Cleveland defense. As time and time again, they broke through blue-shirted blockers to throw runners and passers alike for huge losses of yardage. As you can see, yardage was not the only thing lost. A few tempers went by the wayside, too. Mel Farr and Bill Munson constantly were pounded by Marv Upshaw, Jack Gregory, and Walter Johnson. When Munson resorted to long-range trickery, he found Cleveland defenders waiting there also. Finally, the Lions got the big break. A Lem Barney punt was botched by the usually sure-handed Reese Morrison, and Detroit had a new life on the Cleveland 44. Bill Munson lost no time in capitalizing on the break. He threw to Earl McCullough on the Brown 28. From another angle, we see that Munson had all day to spot his target, and then McCullough made a sliding catch of the underthrown pass for the first down. With 2 minutes to go, Munson came back to McCullough on the left side in the end zone, but he was double-teamed by linebacker Lindsey and rookie Sumner. The quarterback threw to Larry Watkins for 20 yards and a first down. Dale Lindsey tried to swipe the ball away, and Watkins almost broke loose. It looked like the Lions would go to the locker room tied when Munson hit McCullough for the touchdown with only 1 minute 24 seconds remaining in the half. A repeat shows the Lions' strategy as Munson and McCullough worked on rookie safety Freddie Summers, number 20. McCullough had him beat by 10 steps. First costly error came when, on a field goal attempt, The snap went awry, and Mike Weegar, number 28, recovered for the Lions on the Cleveland 49. Weegar was to later play an even more important part in the outcome of the game. Bill Munson then led the Lions 49 yards in 9 plays. A drive highlighted by number 88, Charlie Sanders, the Lions' big, strong second-year tight end. Perhaps the most underrated tight end in the league. On 3 consecutive receptions, Sanders and Munson took the Lions to the Browns' 20. The Lions then thought they had a score when Farr raced into the end zone on a last-ditch swing pass, but a penalty nullified the play. Munson, however, was not ruffled by the setback. On the very next play, he hit receiver John Wright on a perfect pass in the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit. Our super slow-motion camera shows that on the touchdown, Munson had superior protection, disdained throwing to his safety valve, and lofted a spiral toward the end zone. Wright had his man badly beaten and made a picture catch despite the waving hands of the defender. Wright's elation tells the rest of the story. Browns 21, Lions 14. On the following series, Nelson and the Browns were again to come face-to-face with the fickle finger of fate. It began to look like their halftime locker room had been haunted. The Browns couldn't buy a break. After the 2 tip passes, Nelson fumbled the snap on 3rd down, and the Lions recovered again in Brown territory. A repeat of the play shows that destiny in the second half seemed to be wearing blue. The Browns had their backs to the wall again, although they still clung to a 7-point lead. Nick Eddy, number 40, was now in at running back for Detroit, and he too was to play a key role in the outcome. Eddy sparked this drive with brilliant inside and outside jaunts, showing he has fully recovered from last year's injuries and is on the verge of stardom. After Eddy had gained 18 yards and 3 carries, Sanders took a Munson aerial 12 yards to the 1 as the 4th quarter began. Eddy capped his own drive with a 1-yard plunge for the score. On the replay, we can see that Eddy sliced through several Browns and was clearly over the goal. The game was now surprisingly tied at 21. This is how it looked to Charlie Lee as he awaited the ensuing kickoff. This is how it looked as he dropped the ensuing kickoff. Lee's mishandling gave the Browns poor field position at their own 11. Then Nelson was intercepted by Dick LeBeau, number 44. And for the third consecutive time, Cleveland had coughed up the ball on errors in execution. Nick Eddy and the Lions again wasted little time in capitalizing on the break. Eddy would gain 53 yards, playing only half the game today. Mel Farr ran a draw play for 8 through a huge hole in the Browns' right side. After a Munson run to the 2, Mel Farr was called on, and he answered with a 2-yard burst over left tackle for the score. Again, Charlie Lee awaited the kickoff, and again he misplayed it. He let the ball play him and had to tip it out of bounds at his own 2. However, a Nelson pass to Milt Morin got 14 yards and a first down, and seemingly took the Browns out of a hole. So did this 37-yard pass to Paul Warfield. But, once again, a costly penalty nullified the game. So Nelson went right back with a bomb to Warfield. Result? Interception by Mike Weegar, his second big play of the day. On a repeat of this game-saving play, Nelson had time and got his pass away cleanly, but he underthrew Warfield, and the opportunistic Mr. Weegar was there to make a picturesque steal of Nelson's pass, and with it, the game. A real test now faced the Lions. Could they run out the clock with 5 minutes left? Yes. They did it by making first downs on 3 key third down situations. First Munson, then Farr, then Eddy got the necessary yardage to chew up the clock. When it was all over, a new breed of Lions had emerged with a 28-21 upset of the previously undefeated Browns. And Lions coach Joe Schmidt in white may have stopped losing his hair, at least for another week.
Green Bay. They lost the game, and their number 1 quarterback with a broken hand.
Tiger Stadium was not a pleasant place to be for either quarterback. Mel Farr's 52-yard run almost cut the lead in half, but number 43, Doug Hart, saved 7 points for Green Bay. No one stopped Farr from a 3 as Detroit momentum started to snowball. Trailing 21-10 in the third quarter, the Lions crept over midfield on a reception by number 88, Charlie Sanders, and set back Nick Eddy's slithering 19-yard run. Then Munson speared Sanders again, and the huge tight end rumbled and groaned his way inside the Packer 20. Nick Eddy, number 40, screened Packer cornerback Bob Jeter, number 21, and gave Mel Farr an easy alley to a score.
And when they met the frustrated Bears in game number 5, they found themselves in the middle of a tornado.
on, turn around!
When the defensive dust began to settle, two things were evident. The Lions had stopped Gale Sayers after 12 measly yards. But the Bears had stopped Mel Farr for the rest of the season. The Lions were stunned. History was repeating itself. But the misfortune united them and supercharged young Greg Landry. He threw into the Vultures' Chicago defense, where every inch was torture. When he couldn't throw, he became the game's leading rusher. Finally, Bobby Williams tore through the Bears for 86 yards. Then Landry hit substitute John Wright over the middle. Errol Mann finished off the Bears with a 46-yard shot, and Detroit had been tougher than Chicago.
Against the eerie backdrop of Tiger Stadium, the Bears and the Lions once again proved that Central Division football is truly a throwback to pre-civilization. The Bears cast the first stone on a pass from rookie Bobby Douglas to Bob Wallace, number 89. On the ensuing kickoff, Bobby Williams took on the role of David as his slingshot quickness covered 84 yards to the Bears' 12. Quarterback Greg Landry, subbing for the injured Bill Munson, then fired a pass to Johnny Wright. The 12-yard touchdown made it an eye for an eye in the second quarter. The game then reverted to its primitive aura as 133 yards in penalties and a number of injuries occurred during the contest. 2 field goals by Errol Mann provided the margin of victory for Detroit, but Mel Farr's loss for the season could come back to haunt the Lions.
But in gloomy Minnesota, courage alone could not beat the Vikings. Greg Landry came up with a badly sprained ankle. Suddenly, injuries were erasing Lion stars again. At this point last year, the Detroit scoring attack collapsed, and the season ended in despair. History was taunting the Lions.
During the early minutes, the Detroit defense countered with a jarring game plan of its own, and for a while, the contest looked like a standoff. But the Vikings had Joe Cap to go along with their defense. The unorthodox Cap still does some fairly weird things, like this pass to his offensive center, Mick Tingeloff.
In game number 7 at Kezar Stadium, Greg Landry wore high-top shoes to protect his injured ankle and led the Lions to victory number 4. The Lions pulled out still another weapon for winning, the specialty teams. Specialty teams accounted for over 200 yards of offense, and except for a clipping penalty, almost got a touchdown. Landry picked up where they left off and tossed to Charlie Sanders. The defense got still another fumble recovery to set up one of Errol Mann's 4 field goals. And Larry Watkins dove for 6 points.
Two young quarterbacks on a Sunday afternoon. Number 11 in blue is Greg Landry of the Detroit Lions. Number 11 in white is Randy Johnson of the Falcons. In the first 3 quarters, Johnson was the victim of his own errors. Fumbles and inopportune passes nullified important Falcon drives for most of the first half. Greg Landry, on the other hand, enjoyed a brilliant 3 quarters. His accurate passing and skillful play selection almost put Detroit out of reach. Landry had some new playmates on offense. One was number 49, Larry Walton, a swift rookie receiver from Arizona State. Another newcomer, Altie Taylor, number 42, returned from injuries to set up the first Lions score. A 13-yard pass from Landry to Earl McCullough, number 25. The second Lion touchdown was set up by the individual brilliance of tight end Charlie Sanders. From the 1, Bill Triplett vaulted Detroit into a 2-touchdown lead. A twirling scramble by Randy Johnson and an interference call on number 58, Paul Newmoth of Detroit, combined to give the Falcons their initial scoring opportunity. From the 11, Johnson connected with Gale Cogdill for a touchdown. On the following kickoff, Bobby Williams shot through a chute and streaked 96 yards as the Detroit halftime lead ballooned to an impressive 24-7. Trailing by 17 points, Atlanta's comeback was spurred by Cannonball Butler, number 33. Butler accounted for 1 Falcon touchdown with a short scoring plunge and another on a 45-yard pass from Johnson. But the Falcons were too late with too few points and fell to Detroit 27-21.
It was appropriate that game number 8 against the Atlanta Falcons was broken open with these men clearing the road for Bobby Williams, who sprinted 96 yards for a touchdown. The offense got red hot. Landry dropped a perfect bomb on Larry Walton, and he streaked away for the score. Earl McCullough got still another. Big Charlie Sanders wanted to join the act and came within 2 yards. But the Falcons rallied, and the Lion defense had to hold on to win. Alex Karras got a 22-yard interception. But the most important play was a Mike Lucci goal line tackle early in the game. The Lions took over and pointed the way to victory number 6 over St. Louis.
Meanwhile, in Detroit, there were wild things afoot. Like the Lion defense, which continually stomped Cardinal quarterback Charlie Johnson into the turf. Or pilfered his misdirected aerial attempts. In the first half, the Lions' offense had a little trouble with its own footwork. And the only offensive excitement was provided by quarterback Greg Landry, who came up with a riddle which went something like, when is a fine not a fine? Errol Mann's foot provided a 13-yard field goal, and the Lions led at the half 3-0. In the second half, Johnson continued to suffer for the lapses of his blockers. And the Lion offense finally roared to life. Rookie Larry Walton, number 49, threw the first pass of his pro career, a perfect strike to Earl McCullough. The next time the Lions got the ball, they went 73 yards in 4 plays. Their second touchdown came on Landry's pass to number 88, Charlie Sanders. And Sanders was so elated by the final score of 20-0 that he did an impromptu dance in the end zone. Perhaps the Vikings heard his footsteps.
Once again, the defense shut out every Cardinal move. Then the offense humiliated St. Louis. Rookie Larry Walton took a handoff and threw perfectly to a lonely Earl McCullough. Then Landry hit Earl again, and that set up a strike to Charlie Sanders. Errol Mann added 2 field goals, and the Lions got their second shutout, 20-0.
In a day of gloom last Sunday, the Green Bay Packers saw their contest with Detroit go from bad to worse. In the first quarter, their number 1 quarterback, Bart Starr, left the field. Diagnosis, out indefinitely with a partial shoulder separation. The Detroit Lions have been winning games because their defense is tough, and they didn't let up on quarterback Don Horn. Led by number 84, Joe Robb, the Lions sacked Horn 5 times and forced him to fumble twice. Then the pack was kicked while it was down, 3 times. The kicker was a cast-off from last year's Green Bay team, Errol Mann. He cleared the bar for 3 Detroit field goals. Detroit has also been winning because of the performance of their second-year quarterback, Greg Landry. Landry was the leading rusher for both teams. with 8 carries for 57 yards and 1 touchdown. The Lions led 16-0 at the half. Don Horn beat Landry in the passing department, but very little of it counted on the scoreboard. This touchdown to Donnie Anderson was nullified by a penalty. The Pack couldn't buy a break. Boyd Dowler had been charged with offensive interference, and no one would listen to Green Bay's trouble. Finally, in the fourth quarter, Don Horn's persistence paid off. With 54 seconds left, he hit number 25, Dave Hampton, for 29 yards. Then, with 22 seconds left, he threw a strike over the crowd to Boyd Dowler for the touchdown. But time was gone, and the Lions had won 16-10.
Next week, the cold weather in Green Bay had everyone jumping, and Greg Landry ran for victory number 8. Lem Barney managed to corral the dangerous Carroll Dale. And Joe Robb forced another fumble. But the biggest thorn in the side of the Packers was Errol Mann, a Packer reject. Mann kicked 3 field goals that decided the game and left the Packers stunned.
In weather more suitable for cracking hot chestnuts than cold shoulder pads, the Lions and Colts struggled to a standoff. The Lions scored their 2 touchdowns within a space of 16 seconds. Bill Triplett stormed 23 yards through an overshifted Colt defense, and then John Wright recovered Jim Duncan's fumble of the ensuing kickoff, and the Lions had a 14-3 halftime lead. There was near pandemonium in the third quarter when a David Lee punt touched Larry Walton, number 49, after Tom Vaughn had called for a fair catch, and the Colts recovered in the end zone for an apparent touchdown. No, said the officials. It was ruled a touchback since it was the Colts and not Walton who had given impetus to the ball. It would have been the Colts' ball had they recovered on the 1. But it was ruled Lions' ball and brought out to the 20. And the Colt faithful halted play for 15 minutes voicing their opinion. It wasn't long after, however, when Earl Morrow threw a touchdown pass to Terry Cole in the end zone. Morrow threw another to Eddie Hinton in the fourth quarter. The teams traded field goals to create the tie, which was less than satisfactory for the 62,000 cold noses in Baltimore.
Baltimore was the scene of the year's biggest controversy. A Baltimore punt sailed past the fair catch signal and touched Larry Walton. The Colts recovered in the end zone, but the ref ruled correctly, no Baltimore touchdown, and noisy Colt fans held up the game for 15 minutes. But when business had to be done, Bill Triplett ripped off a long touchdown. Then on a kickoff, Johnny Wright recovered a fumble and got another touchdown. Errol Mann kicked, and the Lions pulled out a tie.
In Detroit, it is also winter, and Michigan has its own winter diversions. The The Rams had been hearing a lot about Midwestern winters, and suddenly there they were, funny hats and all. The angry Lions, who thought the Rams might be mocking them, made the Californians pay dearly. Only once did the Rams cross the Detroit 35-yard line, and that time they lost the ball. Detroit held the Rams to less than 100 yards offense, and the worst first down total of the year, 4. Fourth down plays were often critical. Getting off a decent punt was tricky business at best. Sometimes it made more sense not to punt, especially if Lem Barney was to be the punter. When in the Rams' half of the field, the sensible call was to have Errol Mann add 3 points. He succeeded 4 times in 4 tries. But the Rams' chief antagonist was their former teammate, quarterback Bill Munson, number 19. Munson gave the fearsome foursome fits as he repeatedly got his passes away in the face of the most severe kind of pressure. Munson was also the quarterback the last time the Rams were shut out. But that time he was the quarterback of the Rams against the Lions. This time, he usually had time to throw. He repeatedly hurt the Rams with short passes to his running backs, like Alty Taylor, number 42, or to his tight end, Charlie Sanders, number 88. But the play which hurt the Rams the most was the bomb. One was directed to running back Bill Triplett, number 38. When you speak of the bomb as deployed by the Lions, you usually speak of number 25, Earl McCullough, one of the fastest runners in any sport. A play-action fake to the running back, and it's an easy touchdown pass to McCullough. Almost. Any great play is worth using more than once. For the Rams, their second straight loss after 11 straight wins. For the Lions, their third shutout, their 8th victory, their best season's record since 1962.
Game number 13 brought the Coastal Division champions to cold Tiger Stadium, and the Rams acted like it was a circus. But head coach Joe Schmidt was not impressed. Lucci struck the first blow. Then the Detroit defense dug in and held the flamboyant Rams to the embarrassing total of 96 offensive yards. Even when the Rams snuck into Lion territory, they were immediately ushered out. Los Angeles woke up. George Allen called on his famous defense. But facing them was their old teammate in good health, Bill Munson. Munson called a game that destroyed them. Alty Taylor skirted the outside. and Bill Triplett ran right through them. When he got them worried about Detroit runners, Munson tore open the Rams' secondary with powerful Charlie Sanders. On one of the most devastating plays of the year, he hit Bill Triplett for a 62-yard touchdown. Errol Mann turned in 4 field goals. And Speedy Earl McCullough lined up to put the icing on the cake. The Lions came away with their 3rd shutout, more than any other team in the game, 28-0.
When the Detroit Lions invaded Chicago, they were greeted by cold weather. And if the weather wasn't enough to make them shiver, perhaps this sight was. Chicago's middle linebacker, Dick Butkus, seemed to be everywhere at once. He was one of the few bright spots in what was the Bears' most dismal season in history. Another bright spot was the return to top form of number 40, Gale Sayers, who won this year's NFL rushing crown with 1,032 yards gained. However, Sayers and Butkus were not enough last Sunday as the Detroit defense stormed all over number 11, Jack Concannon. The Lions' rush forced an error early in the game. And quarterback Bill Munson, number 19, hit tight end Charlie Sanders, number 88. From this point on, the Bears were never to catch the Lions. But though they were bloodied, they were unbowed. Dick Butkus continued to be a one-man wrecking crew. However, even his inspired play could not help the Chicago offense against the Lions, because as they had been all year, the Detroit defense was just too tough. Another interception led to another touchdown, and the Lions had win number 9, 20-3. It wasn't until late in the 4th quarter that the Bears could launch an effective offense. But even then, they were to be frustrated as their phantom flyer was stopped short of the goal. And no one in Chicago was sad to see those double zeros come up for the last time this year.
By this time, Lion momentum could not be stopped, and they won their last contest at the expense of the badly battered Chicago Bears. Chicago could do nothing right. The Lions came very close to still another shutout, and suddenly looked like they would have been champions with a longer schedule to prove it. The 1969 Lions ignored injuries and won 9 games with unheralded talent and gutsy performance. Their building years were now paying extraordinary dividends. So future Lions successes would rest on the powerful shoulders of number 76, Rocky Freitas, number 68, young Frank Gallagher, 54, All-Pro center Ed Flanagan, 63, guard Chuck Walton, 73, tackle Roger Scholes. Veteran Bob Kolwakowski was out for the season, so this blend of experience and youth had to learn to work together in front of an ever-changing group of offensive backs. No longer was there the explosive speed of Mel Farr, and Nick Eddy was soon to be injured. So veteran Bill Triplett, number 38, would step in and become the team's leading rusher. Rookie Altie Taylor, number 42, would shake off an injury to bolster the attack with his slashing speed. Few people had ever heard of number 30, rookie Larry Watkins, until he proved he deserved the coach's attention. There would have to be clutch catches by young receivers like Johnny Wright. And speed from number 49, Larry Walton. Walton would show flashes of future stardom. The Lions would depend on all-pro tight end Charlie Sanders, who wanted the end zone so much he was most impressive after he caught the ball. They would rely on the speed and grace of last year's Rookie of the Year, Earl McCullough. Double coverage tested Earl's toughness this year, but he fought and came up with a score time after time. Detroit would have to win behind 2 excellent quarterbacks. Bill Munson's crucial leadership would be gone for 7 weeks, but young Greg Landry would emerge as strong and poised, even in the face of his own injury. He would win 5 games in Munson's absence. But one force remained rock steady. Very little marred the aggressive teamwork of Lion defense. They would be led to rank number 2 by their captain, an inspirational leader, Mike Lucci. From his middle linebacker position, Lucci called all the defensive signals and then roamed all over the field to carry them out. Year veteran Wayne Walker, number 55, worked the right side and was more immovable than ever. On the left was one of the fastest pursuers in the league, young Paul Newmall, number 58. 4-time All-Pro Alex Karras was the leader of the front 4 once again. He has left his 255-pound mark on more rival quarterbacks than any other tackle. His sidekick was number 82, Jerry Rush, a very fast 265 pounds. From the left came big Larry Hand, number 74, showing no signs of last year's injury. The right end was closed off by veteran Joe Robb, number 84, playing better than ever before. Frontline pressure constantly forced fumbles or desperate passes into the battery of Lion backs. One was young safety Mike Weger. Or acrobatic Tommy Ball. Even the Lions secondary tackles in the hard Detroit tradition. Veteran cornerback Dick LeBeau, number 44, is so savvy that he looks as though he is running the offensive patterns. He leads all active players with 47 steals and gets revenge if he can't have the ball. At the other corner is Lem Barney, who might be the most versatile athlete in the game today. He punted and he ran it back. But he played the role of spoiler the best. His tackles are portraits, and he's been an all-pro in each of his 3 years in the league. The powerful Lion defense led the league by forcing 23 fumbles and recovering 21 of them. That put the ball in the hands of the offense for a maximum scoring effort. Joe Schmidt had managed to complete a puzzle even when there were pieces missing. In 1970, they will look forward to the addition of their #1 draft choice, Heisman Trophy winner Steve Owens, one of the finest runners the college game has ever seen. And there is no question that the Lions are now of championship caliber. 1970, and the Central Division title could be around the very same corner.